Doesn't it feel better though?
It does.
Oh my gosh, because it's like treading through the past. It's like, oh my gosh.
It does.
Like, do I have to relive that
It does.
again?
One of the things that we know that we've experienced at such an incredible level is how God speaks right through His Word. And we've shared that, we'll pray as God prompts us to, and we know to, and we'll pray and just open up the Bible and start reading. We shared a whole bunch that we devour teaching materials and all that. So it's part of how we know how we discern when we open up the Word and start to speak, and He starts to speak to us. But I'll tell you, recently, I found out some information. I had a twin sister when I was young, and she passed away when we were young. She had gotten encephalitis, and it was very quick, instant. Well, we don't know when it got in her, but we didn't know anything. My family didn't know anything about it until she had passed. We were young, 2.5 years old, and I in that particular family that happened in Iowa, and those family members, I haven't lived out there since I was little, and haven't kept in real good contact with those family members. And very recently, through social media, one of those family members reached out to me and shared the experience that they had when my sister passed away. And they were much older. It was my mother's sister, and that particular mother has passed away since also, not many years after that. So when I was young also. So this sister, who was my aunt, I haven't heard from since then. So, long time ago, reached out, and I inquired, interestingly enough, about what she remembered about my twin sister. And what she shared via social media, so we were not talking on the phone or in person or anything, was a description of the day that my sister passed. And I had never heard all those details. And it was a little, it kind of got to me a little bit, because I didn't really want to know those details. And so in that moment, I just said to God, I need you to speak to me. And it was interesting, because earlier in that day, when my aunt contacted me, kind of prompted some things, and I was looking up name meanings, and my sister's name was Tammy Elizabeth. So I looked up the meaning of Tammy and Elizabeth, and we've done this with all our children. We enjoy that. God speaks through that, then their name meanings. And I had looked up the name of my mother who had passed, her name meaning. So this was literally all on the history of my search as I was looking these things up earlier, a couple hours before I got this email. So I was looking that stuff up and thinking about my twin sister, and God has really connected that with a lot of things that have been going on in our lives in this last year. So my twin sister's been popping up, and interestingly enough, just a couple of weeks ago, I ran into two twin sisters who were in their 40s, late 40s, same age as us, and I've never run into adult twins, male or female. So it's pretty cool. And so just a lot going on, thinking about my sister a lot. And so after I read that email, it was, got to me a little bit, kind of details I didn't want to know. And I just grabbed the Bible, and I said, Lord, I just said, Lord, I need to hear from you. And I said, I know that you're real, and I know that I hear from you, and I know that you speak to me. And right now, I just need to hear from you. I just need to, hear those words. I want to hear about my twin sister. And I know that for a lot of you that maybe have had family members that have passed, you kind of know they speak to you. You know that, obviously my twin sister hasn't appeared to me, but she's spoken to me. I've had things just like, things happening, like the twins. It's all through my life since she's passed. I've had moments where I just knew, that I was hearing from her. And so I literally prayed and just opened up the Bible. And again, it was an emotional moment for me. And I literally, I opened right to this page in this Bible Amplified Bible that I'm reading from right now. And I started reading, "This honor should be granted to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me. For behold, the instant the sound of your salutation reached my ears, the baby in my womb leaped for joy." Well, right away, I knew that this was that this was Elizabeth. This was this, and this is I'm in here in Luke 1, and if I turn the page before that's the beginning, literally and it occurred that when Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with joy and controlled by the Holy Spirit. So literally, it's when Mary went over and told Elizabeth got John the Baptist, right? And confirming that, it's theologian of the family, and Mary's going to tell her that she's got Jesus, and so literally right away I'm praying to God, just I want to hear from my sister. I want to hear from you, God. I just want to speak on this about my sister. And I open up the Bible. It's a 1,200 page Bible, and I literally open up to where Elizabeth in the Bible is speaking, and speaking of the joy of. Did you yawn on camera?
I did.
She yawned on camera.
Sorry.
That creates. Other people are yawning.
No.
Sharing an emotional moment. And God's speaking to me. So, but I forgot to share something else. Earlier in the day, because we were on names, earlier in the day, we have a son named Simeon, and God, and this has to do with part of your book that God is writing through you. And in there is a story, a part of Simeon in the Bible. And our Simeon has been having prophetic dreams, been having amazing things happen. He's 11 years old. Amazing things going on. So earlier in the day, I was even looking up stuff about that, and Don and I were discussing Simeon and even Simeon in the Bible. So here I pray, just want to hear from God. God, speak to me on this. I'm reading this about my sister, and just speak to me. Give me a hug. And I open up and I'm reading about Elizabeth. And I'm reading about Elizabeth with joy. Elizabeth's talking about how joyful she is over Jesus. That Mary's pregnant with Jesus, and she's just joyful and exciting. So I'm, and that was my sister's middle name, Elizabeth. And I had literally just 2 hours before was looking that up. By the way, her name means palm tree, and part of her name in Greek is another name from the word twin. If you look up Elizabeth, there's a Greek word that's a kind of a nickname or something too that means the word twin. Interestingly enough, and then I kept reading, and now I'm in chapter 2, which is just the next page, and it's Simeon. It's when Simeon, chapter Luke 2, I think it's 2:22. Simeon gets to meet Jesus. Yep, in the time of the purification, and there it is, Simeon. And Simeon took him up in his arms and praised and thanked God and said, "And now, Lord, you are releasing your servant to depart. Leave this world in peace according to your word. For with my own eyes I have seen your salvation, which you have ordained and prepared before in the presence of all people." We had a huge discussion of this that morning, and even looked up Simi. We spell our son Simeon's name S-I-M-I, and Simi, in a word out here, in a native word out here in California, means the fog, the cloud, which we know is the glory of God. So this discussion was going on all day long. I get that email from my aunt, who was just trying to share. She was just remembering her experience. She shared her experience of that day and what she saw and what happened. But it just, it got to me a little bit, and I prayed, and God gave me a hug.
That's what God does.
Yeah. He's cool. He's always there. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. Yeah, that's one. So I know it's kind of in that RAM, but
part of our journey is talking with, hearing from, and trusting God. And
right on our book cover.
Sometimes we, or in our daily lives, we just need comfort, understanding, and answers to questions that sometimes we don't understand quite what's going on, or why we're in a situation or direction that we're going. And so, sometimes, like with Tony, he just kind of got some news that, didn't really sit well in his heart. He just kind of prayed for comfort, opened up, asked him God for just talk to him.
Yeah.
He did. To him in his word. I was comforted by that.
And Dawn's exactly right that, and this is a great time. This is in my heart to share with everybody that out of all these things that we'll share about revelation, application, manifestation, just learning to communicate with God, how He is communicated with us, that's really what it comes down to, is communication. That no matter what the results of these things are, that if we understand that the real foundation is that we are communicating with Him, like Dawn just said, every day, talking with Him, hearing from Him, trusting Him. That's part of that process, is that we are just diving into His Word, and that's where we're finding our comfort, our instructions, our minute to minute, hour to hour, month to month. I mean, it's all day to day, week to week, and that we can just know that He's here, and that and we know the Holy Spirit speaks in our hearts and can speak through people to give us a word, but we have just found that He's right, that He'll speak right here in His Word for right now, and be so specific that I'm praying about being comforted, for my twin sister who passed away, Tammy Elizabeth, and I would open up His Word and start reading the very first words on the top left-hand page, and they're joyful words coming from Elizabeth. And then keep reading, and I end up in Simeon, just the next chapter, confirming.
Simeon's is just that, knowing that he has finally seen the Lord that was promised, and he enters rest. So with Tony, you're just, God just spoke that Tammy's full of joy. She's okay. She's in heaven, and I'm here because we have this relationship. Now you can have rest. Rest in knowing that she's good and that you're good too.
And
you're good on this earth.
And the physical details that I heard, it doesn't matter. She's there, and thank you. See that? God's awesome. Communication. He's talking to us all the time. He loves us.
And it builds that relationship.
Absolutely. But I could go to Him and He would give me that love. Because He's our Father. Yay!